Hi everyone, this is Dr. Sarah Yu. I'm a show host, Dr. Sarah for today's America World Show, as well as Dr. Sarah for US Senate Show, as well as UVision, UVision TV show. Today I have a special guest as a co-host, Dr. Paul Mesa, who is our campaign advisor. He studied many major important law. He finished the jury doctorate, Oklahoma University. He will introduction later himself, as well as I have a very important guest. His name is Tarik, and he will introduction himself as well. All the welcome to my show. Yeah, Dr. Paul, can you introduce yourself first?
Sure. I'd also like to welcome Dr. BOUROUINA, who's in Singapore, joining us from Singapore tonight. I earned my Juris Doctor degree from the University of Oklahoma in 1997. And before that, I worked towards my MBA and Master's in Economics and History, also at the University of Oklahoma. And prior to that, I finished my Bachelor of Arts in Asian Studies and Chinese. But I began university in the same field as Tarik, that is in the physics field, and with a dual major of physics and astrophysics on scholarship at the University of Oklahoma. So we have a lot in common, and I look forward to getting to learn much more about this very distinguished professor who began his life in North Africa and became an immigrant to France, just as Sarah became an immigrant to the United States at age 24. And I think we'll have a very interesting presentation for everyone tonight.
Oh, great. So, Professor BOUROUINA, can you introduce yourself? Yeah.
Yes, thank you for the invitation. So I'm Tarik. So as mentioned by Dr. Paul, so I was born and grew in Algeria. I was born in 1967 and grew until the age of 20, doing the first part of my study in Algeria, and then had the opportunity to travel to France to continue my study. It was actually an opportunity for me to learn about new topics after my background in physics. So I specialized in microelectronics, in optoelectronics, semiconductor physics. And this led me to get the PhD degree in 1991, as I was only 24 years old at that time. After that, I joined I had my first academic experience still in France within Essier Paris, within the University Gustave Eiffel, where I'm working now. But I had multiple other experience in other universities, including University Paris-Saclay in France, including the University of Tokyo, where I was for a period of 3 years. It was a long time ago, actually, from 1998 to 2001. I had multiple experience with Singapore, where I'm based now. I used to be the director of a double degree between France and Singapore, and contributed to supervision of many PhD students. Then I'm now having an appointment for 2 years doing research here in Singapore full-time. Before that, I also had multiple experience and collaboration with Chinese universities. I didn't spend a very long period in China, but it was also a very enriching experience. So as you might understand, I have quite significant Asian exposure. So I speak a little bit Japanese. I had difficulty to learn Chinese because maybe it was I was not so young when I traveled to China, and I'm also very engaged in the entrepreneurship. So I had the chance to have multiple students who wanted to launch startup companies, and many of them are quite successful. I can elaborate if you are interested in these aspects also.
Yes, I think we would love to learn about let's begin. I'll just name a few of them and you can jump in when you want to introduce either of them. There was a silicone ware or Ware. So that's all of the names are very clever, I must say. Fluidion, MEMSCAP, MEMS Schlumberger, and Isomics, I'm sorry. And we have Schlumberger in Oklahoma, actually, my home state, in the petroleum and natural gas exploration industry, the giant French company, which merged with Halliburton company from my state. And so they're Halliburton, Schlumberger together. So what is Ware or MEMSCAP or Isomics? What fields are they involved in? Optoelectronics or semiconductor physics?
All those companies are either launched by my students, my colleagues, and I had contribution either as a co-founder or shareholder or just supporting as an advisor. All of them were born in the clean room facilities that is available in my institution, SCIE Paris. It's a particular clean room facility which is dedicated to MEMS and microfluidics. This kind of technology of the micro scale, it's not exactly semiconductor physics, but it has a kind of connection because it came after microelectronics. And this topic of MEMS was full of opportunities for innovation. And one of my favorite among all of these, so I can speak about all of them, but my favorite is Cyber Systems. It's the not the latest, but it is dealing with an optical spectrometer which is based on MEMS technologies, an FTIR spectrometer. It was admitted as being the smallest of its kind worldwide, and this was acknowledged by the award that was given in the Prism Award, Innovation Award in San Francisco 2014. So what is the most interesting is, besides the fact that this company is employing 150 people, including a subsidiary in California with almost 10 people. So the most interesting is that it has an impact in agriculture and food industry. It contributes to precision agriculture and contributing also to the supply chain to minimize waste, to optimize the production, the yield of production. And many of the big players in agriculture, they love this technology, and so we are happy with this because we are doing also money. So I'm shareholder of this company, and I'm particularly proud of this one. So all of them have connection in the US. So MEMSCAP has its headquarters. So MEMSCAP was launched in 2000, maybe a bit earlier, 1997. And it has his headquarters also in California. So he was a lucky guy. So he was my former student after the telecom bubble collapse. So just before he entered the market, he got a lot of money. And then after that, he bought a lot of company which was suffering from this collapse. And so it was quite a luck for him. And so I'm happy with what he was able to do. So Fluidion is also, it has a major impact in water management, including in California and in New York. So it's a technology which is able to, also based on microfluidics, able to monitor the bacteria and some chemicals in water, in water, whatever, if it is drinking water or wastewater. And so it's a quite niche application, and also taking advantage of those micro technologies to make innovative solutions. So what else? You mentioned MEMS Schlumberger is a subsidiary of Schlumberger. It was based in Boston. It's not so far from MIT now. And the former head of the research group of Schlumberger was my classmate. So we made our PhD together at the early stage of the MEMS era in the 80s. So that's why we established this this subsidiary. It was actually based in Paris, and putting some connections between the MEMS clean room fabrication in Paris and the own needs, internal R&D needs, and operational needs of Schlumberger. It's very interesting because in the oil and field application, the market is not so big compared to the automotive or smartphone industry, where you can sell hundreds of billions of chips. So for the oil and field, they maybe just need a few thousand or few tens of thousands, which is in the semiconductor industry is considered as very small. So that's why our clean room find a kind of opportunity to contribute in this area. So I think I covered all. Isonics is the latest. Isonics is not is created 2 years ago. Is addressing another issue of water, which was microplastics. So there are a lot of microplastics in drinking water. So all of us are drinking a lot of microplastic, including bottled water, tap water, and even we are breathing microplastics. So I'm happy to see that United States is the first country who established regulation to impose the players of water to monitor the content of microplastics. I think California was the first state, and then I think there was New York State and New Jersey. And it's not only a constraint regarding the player, because it's in the interest of people to not suffer from the consequences, potential consequences of microplastics on health, even though it was not established formally that microplastics has an impact on health, but most probably it has. But it's definitely an opportunity for startup companies like ours. To it's a new business opportunity to develop new instruments which will allow the measurements of those microplastics. More recently, we discovered that microplastics are even in the air, and the major contributor is the tires of automotives. So near urban areas or highways, there are supposed to be higher concentration of such microplastics. So that's yeah. So I have side interest which has not necessarily a common economical impact. Maybe they could, but more recently I had interest in harvesting water from the air. I contributed to a review paper on this topic, and I'm doing research also in this area. And you can imagine in some areas where this is very arid, there is no fresh water resources except the ambient humidity, which contains some air. Then it's a matter of finding the appropriate technology to harvest this water and to provide resources to the local populations. So yeah, so that's it for this question.
Yes, I think as a premature twin who has asthma, the microplastics issue is very important to my health, whether I take them in through the water or by breathing. And yeah. I notice when I visit Singapore, sometimes the air quality from Indonesia and from tire burning or from clearing the fields for the palm oil is
the so-called haze. They call it the haze. Yeah,
it's very, very significant haze. That's an important issue as well. So I'm glad you mentioned this paper you did on the 20 nanometer microplastics, and the other paper you did on the dew water harvest panels or atmospheric water harvesting. The US Army has tried to deploy water harvesting from the air since the 1980s. So it's a difficult area to find something that's feasible. And there's certainly a lot of places where we need to deploy them, from southern Algeria all the way across the Sahara Desert, all the way to many places in the US where we have desert areas where we need to provide water to environmentally disparate communities. One thing you haven't mentioned was your recent work in black silicon, and I'm curious to know if that also uses your clean room. We have a new clean room here at the Cheng-Kung University in Tainan that's also an incubator. So we have this promotion of entrepreneurial activity among students who are learning about MEMS or microfluidics. And one of my cousins actually here wrote her master's thesis on microfluidic channels for DNA. And so she was using the microfluidic device to study and to manipulate DNA. And it was a very clever approach. And then now she's gone to work in the physics field, in semiconductor physics.
Thank you for mentioning this topic about black silicon. Black silicon is a very exciting material that was discovered by Eric Mazur from MIT more than 20 years ago. And at that time, he was doing this using femto laser processing, scanning through a surface. So in our lab, we had extensive R&D activity on this topic. So what we did is first we use an alternative technique to produce this black silicon at wafer level, which enables fabrication of within minutes, within a few minutes of wafer scale processing of such black silicon surfaces. And very recently, we explored the extension of the blackness of silicon in the infrared spectral range. And this opened new perspectives because black silicon looks black in the naked eye in the visible range, and it extends after 1.1 micron wavelength. But I had a paper last year extending the spectral range up to 20 microns. And this allows us to consider black silicon as a potential candidate for passive cooling. Passive cooling, there is one mechanism which is called radiative cooling. It's just based on the fact that anybody at a certain temperature is losing heat, and is losing heat more efficiently if its emissivity or its absorptivity is very high, which means the black body emission is better when you have a black surface like black silicon. But this surface has to emit in the infrared spectral range, which was not the case for previous generation of black silicon. So basically what you can do with this capability is to cool a surface during the night. And during the night, what can happen is that the air which is available around will, when it will find such cooler surface, it will facilitate its condensation to this surface, and you'll be able to collect water from the air in the night time. And since it's based on silicon, so we propose this concept of a silicon panel with dual functionality, where the same panel would harvest energy during the day based on solar energy harvesting, and it will collect water during the night based on this concept of radiative cooling. So it's just a kind of perspective. A lot of R&D is still needed to reach this ultimate goal, but we are doing a good progress in this area. So passive cooling as a topic is interesting because you are just providing a way to cool even at the building scale without using any energy, which saves air conditioning, power supply. So in Singapore here, there are a lot of paintings. They make paintings with radiative cooling capabilities, which actually succeed reducing the temperature of buildings by 2 degrees. And this has a significant impact on reducing the electricity bill.
Well, that's fascinating. I hadn't heard about.
Yeah. Yeah, Sarah is asking me about the metaforms. Actually, the metaforms are also they are also based on black silicon. So what we did is this kind of black silicon. We made an array of holes, and it behaves like a foam, but the foam which has been optimized regarding its overall performance to enhance the steam generation. Steam generation, which actually is a way to purify water by the so-called distillation process or desalination process. So it's another interesting application of black silicon produce such metaforms. We have a recent paper also published maybe 2 years ago, which gives a demonstration of this capability.
Dr. Paul, do you have any other question for section A? We're gonna show section 2, okay? Do you have?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. We will meet the section 2, end of this section 1 part. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, see you again. Yeah.
Thank you.